call this meeting of the Board of County Commissioners of Sweetwater County back to order from executive session. We have no action to take from executive session and will move on during our agenda to for the good of the order. What do we have that we would like to share that wasn't on our agenda? Yes.
Thank you. I almost talked about this during the public comment that Ron Wild was here at. He was at a meeting that I was at. And so he shared with me a Rocky Mountain Power Community Performance Plan with just some ideas, from us, some things that we would like from Rocky Mountain Power. So I will leave this in the commission office. Maybe we can just get it even scanned, Sally, and sent to all of us so that we can make sure that we get comments back to them in a timely manner over the next couple of weeks. So
Nice.
And then I just wanted to give an update on specific purpose tax. I have sent out what I'm hoping will be very close to the final resolution to be reviewed by the committee. I have gotten no comments back from anyone yet. I sent it out last night at like 6:30 with updated numbers, made sure everything looked proper and everything was taken care of. We've been working, John DeLeon, thank you, by the way, for your assistance. I've been working on this for 2 weeks now, and I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, that's where we're at. And then we'll be getting that to the municipalities to get signed. The city of Rock Springs had made a point that they wanted the county to sign it first. And I did let them know that that was not the plan, that we would be the last to sign that agreement, that resolution. And so they were waiting on some of the final numbers with the bonding costs. And that's where we're at right now.
Thank you. Thanks for keeping us in order. Did we have any, John, was somebody going to do the Granicus? Oh. Ms. Lane.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. At the last meeting, there was a question on whether or not the $7,000 was included in the amount that was approved for Granicus. It was not. However, Sally and Tim and I met with Emery, Senator Emery, and good news is she went before her board and they have waived all of the startup fees for Granicus. So the amount is the $23,527.93, and we have a new contract to reflect that. So I would, after discussion, whatever you do, I would need a motion to have the chairman sign that document.
Thank you. Questions for Ms. Lane?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I do believe we had a motion to move to purchase the Granicus. So
Yes.
this is a motion just to sign the contract, approve the
Yes.
contract and authorize chairman to sign.
Yes, because the question came up on the $7,000,
Sure.
which we had thought was included and it wasn't. So the Granicus has been approved. It's just to have the chairman sign the updated and new and improved contract.
Okay, thank you.
Better. Any other questions? Then what's your pleasure on that item?
That be advertised before we vote?
No,
We've already
We already approved it.
so
we have already approved it,
this is just
just signing the contract. So, Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the changes to the improved contract with Granicus and authorize chairman to sign.
Thank you. We have a motion on the improved contract. So we have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Other items for good of the order.
Mr.
Yeah, go ahead.
Commissioner Lloyd.
Awesome. Just a couple things. Attended the library meeting, CLG meeting. I'm kind of waiting to hear back from Mark Cott to move forward with that committee, but I did attend this there. I kind of went to the Starbus meeting. But it was a swing and a miss because they canceled it and I didn't get told. And but they didn't know I was coming. It was a kind of a surprise visit. But I was able to have a good conversation with Mary Seppi on Star Bus for about 30 minutes. Attended the governor's ride session on education, which I felt was really solid. Jim Zimmerman has called a chiefs meeting, which will be our second chiefs meeting since we've started the new fire system. I'll be attending that as a liaison, and that's tomorrow at 3 p.m. at District Number 1. We have had a meeting and we should be getting some information from the Capital Committee. We did get a letter regarding kind of the direction they would like us to go on capital. But we also, as per the board, 2 weeks ago, had a meeting on vehicle usage, and we're working on some policies and some things that we can present to the board based upon vehicle usage and those vehicle needs. And I guess the last thing is we kind of move forward on ambulance today. Want to reiterate, I am for ambulance, but I think I think it's really important to note that I think it's nice that we're going into a contract that will provide stability to the community for the next 3 to 5 years. We still have to solve the funding model. And I do think it's important that we continue to look at due diligence in EMS fire districts, EMS districts, or some way and methodology to continue to fund that long term. And I think that can't be lost off the radar as we move forward with this contract. And we may find out this is the best way to go, but we need to keep due diligence in making sure we have a long-term funding model found, because like I said, I think we have a good short-term, midterm solution, but I think the eyes have to continue to look forward at other options for long-term funding. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Tolman.
Yes, I attended the Zoom meeting for the Wyoming Landscape Conservation Initiative Executive Committee after our meeting last time. The good news is that the legislative $1 million match to the government's Bureau of Land Management. So there'll be like $2 million a year available for projects in the 19 million acre Southwest Wyoming area. So that was good news. Attended the intergovernmental meeting on the special purpose tax and the bonding. I attended Kent Connolly's former commissioner from Lincoln County, his wife's funeral last Thursday. Send the condolences to that family. Kent has been very active in our coalition. I attended the coalition meeting via Zoom. Harriet Hageman was doing an update for her campaign, but we also got about a 5-minute deep dive discussion on the Colorado River and the value of the compact, that it can't be changed, and Wyoming should have first priority for use of our water before they can start claiming it. So she said there's a lot of misunderstanding about that. So I thought that was a good clarification. And we had an update on the Ashley National Forest, the deep dive meetings, and it seemed that there was some positive input that was provided, that the Forest Service seemed receptive to doing some changes based on that for the Ashley National Forest. So that, and I'm still doing follow-up on getting our finalized federal plan out to the agencies, and I'll be working with Eric to get that. And Aaron is putting pictures in it to make it look more appealing. We did get a last hour comments from the Ashley, but we'll include them with our response in the appendix.
Thank you. Did anyone get to pass out ice cream at the Tiffin rally? The events company? Had to go to Casper. Commissioner Wendling, anything from you?
No, we're good.
All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I forgot something. Thank you. I was wondering, there's been a number of component units that are still referring to liaison. And I was hoping that we could potentially put together a short letter and get out to all the component units just to make sure that there is no liaison, that, we're all open to going to any meetings and that they should reach out to all of us with any concerns.
Absolutely.
It would also include outside agencies.
Yes, sorry.
We'll just send out the point of contact list along with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other business or items to come before our regular board meeting? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'd so move.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. And do we want to move directly into our budget meeting?
You okay with the YouTube?
Ask Mr. Detus to come in and update us on our monies. How are things looking?
Well, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, the valuation is, I think, pretty decent where we were doing our estimates at. The final number with the railroad values that we got just in the last day or so are 2,470,000,000. Okay, that equates to about 29,644,000 for the 12 mil, not just the general fund, but the entire 12 mil. That's an increase of just short of $500 million from the previous year. So again, my Senate File 60 disclaimer, most of this value is minerals. Minerals are now coming in monthly. Valuation does not equate to cash flow anymore, but that's good news regardless. Any way, shape, or form, that is good news. So I would entertain any questions if anybody had any concerns. But I just wanted to update you before you had your budget workshop that the valuation was pretty close to where Bonnie and I were thinking.
Very good. Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Dave, as you look in your crystal ball
Uh-huh.
and kind of look at trends and things like that, what are you seeing for the next year to 2 years in our budget? Are you seeing kind of where we're at now? Are you seeing a decrease in some of the minerals revenues? I mean, based upon the trends you're seeing at this point, I know it could change.
My estimate is Trona will get back to where it was the year before. So Trona will go up probably to the tune of $60 or $70 million. It'll get up over 500 million like it was just before COVID. The oil and gas stuff, I still don't understand. There's too many global pressures on the oil and gas industry at this point for me to make a guess. I mean, I would think we're halfway through the year and I have never seen values like this for oil and gas. I don't know how long they can sustain. I don't know how much longer the industry can handle prices like this before people just boycott and we're in trouble the other way. I don't know. Flat's always a safe estimate, but I think at some point those oil and gas values are going to have to start coming down just simply because of the price of those minerals. It's astronomical at this point, and I just can't see it going on much longer. Now, I've heard other people who probably have more information than I do talk about this being a 1 or 2 year trend, but I like I said, I just don't know. I just don't know.
Mr. Chairman. Anything else, Mr. Commissioner Lowe? Commissioner Wendling.
Yeah. Dave, kind of like this morning, hearing about aviation fuel, they figure it's going to keep going up for the next, they think up to 2 years.
And that could,
I mean, that's gas and oil.
sure. And that could be the trend here too. It
Okay.
very well could be, which is great for the valuation. It's just hard to go anywhere. So,
Cart and pony. I'll have to
Yeah.
cart and pony to the commissioner meetings.
right. That's exactly, so get your bicycle out. One or
I
the
got
other.
it aired up. It's ready to go. Got my scooters.
Yeah, let's go. Great.
All the other values were pretty consistent. I mean, oil and gas are always the big players. Just gas production was up about 271 million and oil was up about 83 million from the year before. Now, surface coal was down 20 and we know surface coal, well, underground coal is going to go down as well. But Trona is the big player. And if they can get back to where they were before, as the assessor, predictability is nice, and Trona is predictable when it gets up to that 550 with all the plants coming online. Whenever that does actually happen, that'll be more Trona production there. So I think it'll be more stable as time goes on. It's just them getting in the right spot where the production actually starts coming through. With oil and gas stuff, like I said, if I knew more, I'd buy futures, but at this point I don't, and I'm just scared of the crash. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think on the oil and gas, I think it's all on our backs now to make up that because we're paying at the pump. But at some point, I hope it turns around, we get back into actual production, but I can definitely see a dip before that turns around and is replaced by production instead of at the pump price.
Sure. And to be honest, I don't know, the details of where all of this stuff is coming from, but I like I said, I just can't see this as sustainable at this point. I just can't see these prices for fuel, for jet fuel. diesel, all that kind of stuff is just off the charts. And at some point, people are just going to stop traveling. So, and then maybe things will come down, but we shall see and time will tell.
And I don't know about production. Just reading a couple articles last week after the White House sent out their edict of produce more gasoline so the prices go down, or there'll be executive action taken. They shot back the same day, the petroleum industry, with letters and statistics of they're at 94.7% refining capacity right now. They are right up there. And the reason they're not any higher is just, seasonal maintenance and things. And they said they have 2 refineries that are idled now that did not sell. They were for sale and they didn't sell. So the overall ability to produce, there are less barrels per day, but the capacity they do have, they're utilizing fully. And nobody wanted to buy the 2 refineries because of the instability in the markets and from Washington on what's going forward. And we saw it again this week with another lease auction, federal, postponed again. So you can see where they're coming from on the instability side. But just a couple articles I read, and because it's always interesting and crazy right now. You just don't know what's going on.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments from Mr. Davis? Okay, thank you.
Oh, I do have one question. Did you ever get any figures back from the Department of Revenue on the percentage of our income, our assessed value from federal lands?
I have not, but I am going to Cheyenne in mid-July. And actually
Okay.
will be with that
Yeah.
Department of Revenue department and that individual specifically. And I will ask again. and see
Because it
if
would be interesting to compare to the last set that Mark caught and Wally had put together in 21, I believe,
Sure,
just to see.
sure. I'll email him again and let him know we're coming and see if that's
Okay,
something we can put
thank
together.
you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Always happy to see you when you bring good news. The one item that I wanted to bring up about budget was something that we addressed today with our contract with Castle Rock. And so going from the 700,000 to 348, $352,000 difference there in savings that we'll realize. I've already talked with Bonnie about making that change in the budget. So we'll see
How
that.
did you perform that? That was pretty good.
Well, thank you. Like I say, I called Bailey early this morning when she was out on a walk and she was happy. So it went well. No, I appreciate the relationship we have with Castle Rock and their board and how they've been willing to work with us. It's been a good relationship and hopefully is for several years to come. Any other comments or discussion regarding budget before
Yeah.
we approve it on Thursday?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
one other thing I think on the budget that was impacted today is the based upon our change with our sign change with the joint communications, our cost on that will go up based upon that contract change. So that's something we should probably make sure Bonnie knows about and understands.
Will you convey that to her?
Yes.
Please? Thank you. Any other tidying up that we need to do, Commissioner Tillman?
Yeah, I thought the recommendations that Bonnie put together as far as cash on hand for the various component units, outside entities was good. Maybe we could follow that. The only thing she deleted was the Eden Valley Improvement District because we didn't fund them last year. She said to zero them, but I think we should put the 35,000 back in because they do have 6 special districts that the valley funds itself very well, but that community center is getting some age on it and needs some major improvements on it. It's not the daily operations that they need money for. They need money to keep the facility maintained.
So
Commissioner, it's in there.
yeah, I was gonna say, so.
Did she put it back in?
Well, it was never removed. That was just her recommendations.
okay,
And so
okay.
We never
All right,
instructed
thank
her to
you.
do that.
Right.
Okay,
So
thank you.
The 35,000 is still there.
But I think some of her other recommendations were good because I think most of the entities maintained the 20% cut from the previous year. And I think there were only a few that tried to add back in the 20% or they increased their budget. So I thought she had some good recommendations as far as how to deal with that.
Agreed. We're also going to need to convey, I guess, our agreement now with SkyWest, and that'll be costlier than
More
last
than
year.
double, yes.
Yeah. Need to make sure we get that. Anything else that we need to tidy up?
Well, I think, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Go ahead.
I think if we're talking about potential reductions and we haven't had that conversation with, I think that there are some potentials, but we also have had the opportunity to ask these questions of our department heads and our component units and everybody else for now the past like 6 months. And so I guess I'm in favor of moving forward with things how we have them set up. But if there's any reductions that we're looking at, we need to instruct Bonnie to either include them or not, and decide if there's anything that's really a pecking order for that, what the commission wants, any of the commissioners want to address. We need to talk about that today.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't have anything additional. I'm just saying that Commissioner Tolman just brought up that she thought some of these were really good, but we haven't decided to move forward with any of them. So
We didn't take action on it.
Correct.
Yeah. The actions we have taken, we need to convey, and I think we have conveyed. So,
Right.
Well, and Chairman Smith,
yes.
as I mumble down here, I think what we've done is, and I agree with Commissioner Shanefield, that I think it's hard to make cuts this late in the game without having conversations with people. And I do think it's also hard to make cuts when we would have extra money that would end up in reserves that are in excess of 27 million right now. With that being said, I do think we've laid the groundwork and we've made some changes in the budget process to be more proactive within the form and the information we're gathering from the committee. From that committee, I think at the end of this process, we're going to do two things. We're going to take the suggestions from people and redo that form a little bit from the suggestions that we've heard. Number two, we're going to take the formula that we talked about as a possible way to weight them then on the road. And I'm going to run those through the formula to see what it would have been like and see if the formula would be something that would work or not in the future. But I also think what we've done is being proactive, is we've learned some good things and bad things from this process. And I think if we can integrate those forms a little bit more into our conversation ahead of time, as we have to look at reductions, I think we have the ability to have better conversations and more upfront conversations in a timely manner to make it a more proactive process. So I really think what we've done is we've really laid the groundwork for continuing to improve the process next year. So I want to thank everyone's help and support in the forum, but also in the process that we followed to get to as we continue to evolve the budget process.
Thank you. Good comments. Commissioner Wendling.
Thank you. Just for Commissioner Tolman, there's 13 component units and outside agencies that increase their budget. So my question is, and I could be wrong, but I thought there was an expectation of all the units and outside agencies to maintain costs from last year, with the exception of, there might be another one, but with the exception of STAR, because they did some good things for us with the ARPA money and that type of thing. But I thought there was that expectation for everybody to, whether we have the money or not, that's, I think that's not the question. The question is what was our expectation? And I thought it was to stay at that same level as last year, or am I wrong?
I agree with you. And that's why I don't think it's fair to let
Well,
some of them get more. I don't know.
You said a very good word there. If we're not going to hold everyone to what we expected, then we need to go back and adjust everybody else, if you want to be fair. Second of all, I don't think and I've said it before, and I'm only one person, I don't think we need to come in and barter with people as to what their budgets are. I think we just say, I believe, here's your budget, make it work. There's no other way we're going to get these agencies to begin to start looking for other avenues of funding if we keep just entitling them. So that's my comment with this. I know it's tough, but I'm just going to express my opinion. I think they need to go back to their amounts on some of those, maybe not all 13. And then there's a 14th one that has an open checkbook that I think needs to be looked at very carefully. And remember, we moved that outside agency to where they no longer have any rent or electricity or anything. I did not see a reduction in their budget for this year based on their monthly rent from last year. Second of all, for that agency to have an open checkbook where others do not is not correct. I think as they work on their projects and they decide to move forward and they need matching dollars, they should come to us and ask us for that. Because when you take a look at their actuals from 2021, 22 versus what they were given in their budget, their actuals were 166,000, but their budgeted that they were given 221. So that tells me they have some carryover that wasn't figured in. So I'm just pointing out a few things as I look through this and that type of thing. So, you know, just because the money's in the revenues and that type of thing, and I agree it's taxpayers' money, but taxpayers have said to us when it comes to the special purpose and it comes to the general is when you as commissioners begin to start using the tax dollars for what the statute says they're for, then you will see you'll have money where you may not need this special purpose. They are not supporting us on those special purpose and general taxes because in their minds, we are not taking care of our fiduciary responsibility because we're funding outside agencies at the level they are, because those agencies somewhat see some entitlement. That's all I want to say about that, but I'd really like you to take a moment, consider those 12, 13. I pull a star out of it because bless their souls, last year, you know, $30,000 they got from us. Can you believe that? Yeah, because they used ARPA money. Nobody else came in and offered any help. And the one that I'm talking about that should be funded since they're totally general fund funded for conservation district, they do need the money to pay their help, and they do need some seed money for office supplies, just general operations. But to give them 221,000 over and above, maybe they need 120 to 30 to keep the doors open. They should be coming in saying, here's the projects we want to do. Will you consider matching them? So I just want you to reconsider that and the 13, but I don't think we need to call them in. I think we have every right to say, here's your budget, because we told you, keep it at the 20 or keep it the same as last year. And if it's less, thank you very much. We appreciate it. But some of these are incredible. 100%, 197%. Yeah, 41% increase, 275% increase. Well, that's star, I'm sorry. But 50.38, 17.7. That's, again, communications, open checkbook. Anyhow, just food for thought.
So Commissioner Wendling, again, you're talking the conservation district there?
I was talking about them as an organization, as an outside agency that isn't Joint Powers Board that has an open book checkbook.
Okay.
Yeah, so we fund them.
Okay.
Other than they do get some grant money, which they should, but and it's for projects, and they're projects that go on the ground in the county deservedly. But just to say, hey, here's $221,000 now, let us know what you use it for. I think there needs to be a little bit of better oversight on that, since it is general fund money. Now, if they want to become a special district, you know, and want to go before the voters, then whatever they raise, then they are responsible for. But Lord Almighty, $221,000.
Well, Doc, they do submit vouchers. They don't collect
Point
anything.
of order.
I think they only have, they had 55 days cash on hand. So not like they had a bunch of money in the bank.
No.
but That was part of my decision in that. Commissioner Shanefield.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Hmm.
I don't recall us directing communication to these entities, and I could be wrong, but I don't recall us saying you need to be where you were at last year. I also know that there has been very poor communication to these entities. I've had many of them reach out and say, hey, do you need anything from me? What else do we need? We haven't heard anything. And so I think if that was communicated, I was not aware of it, and I'm not sure if the entities were. So we need to confirm that before anything else. And we should have probably addressed that when we
Thursday morning.
were looking through. No, when we were looking through and bringing them in.
Yeah, I wasn't here for that, so that's partially my fault, but at the same token, I'm just asking the questions. And if it were true, then here's, make it fair. So
And
that's,
I don't recall that. So that's my input.
I'm just pointing out some things that, yeah, we through for some good reasons and valuation, we ended up with some extra money, but we've got some huge projects that could be taken care of, But anyway, that's all I have to say about it. Thank you. If you want to leave it, but
With the Forrest Gump line there.
that's
That's all you got to say about that.
all I got to say about that.
Other comments, questions?
Like a bowl. Chocolates. Box of chocolates.
Any other business then for our workshop? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then. Do
So moved.
we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Well, we have a budget hearing on Thursday to approve what,
This,
What?
but whatever
This
Bonnie
budget.
brings.
Eight
us.
30 Thursday morning. Yep.
okay. Just wanted to reaffirm.
Yep.
Thank you. Aye.
Anybody else in favor?
Aye.
Aye.